One of the most interesting and unique mediums for children's entertainment is the live show. And the early 2000s had no shortage of them. A live performance with your favorite characters on a giant stage, singing and dancing. Not only is it super immersive and believable for a young audience, but it's an event to remember. Sure, you can go watch your average Bob the Builder VHS tape, but doesn't an hour-long escapade where you get to meet the man himself, Robert, in real life sound more exciting? Yeah, I thought so. So, where does My Little Pony fall into this? Well, Hasbro wanted to make their own. So they partnered up with one of the most experienced companies in the field. Currently, their business is called V-Star Entertainment, after merging with another company. But in the 2000s, they were called V Corporation. So, to be less confusing, I'll just refer to them as V Corp. And check out that track record! Founded in 1980 for the sole purpose of putting on a Sesame Street live production, you can tell they know what they're doing, not to mention the other works they had done up to this point. Hasbro and V Corp's collaboration gave us My Little Pony, the world's biggest tea party, an hour and 12-minute stage show. The DVD release says it's produced and directed by David Stern. The show toured from 2006 to 2008, so a good chunk of G3's lifespan. The plot is pretty simple, but we'll go over it briefly. On a bright morning in Ponyville, the ponies try to decide what they want to do for the day. Everybody has such good ideas, Pinkie Pie decides to combine them all into one big extravaganza, to have not just any tea party, but the world's biggest tea party. You see, just like the title. From there, the ponies simply plan the party, each contributing a little until the end, singing and dancing as they prepare for tea. And the musical numbers in this, well, musical, are pretty gosh darn catchy. A lot of people say the best part of G3 is the music, and that proves true here too. I've caught myself humming songs in this pony production plentiful times. The songs are an upbeat mix of Broadway and jazz with a little disco in the mix. Try a New Color is sweet, Squeeze and Think gets stuck in my head constantly. How You Feel is actually beautiful. It's a duet between Pinkie and Minty. Honestly, what more could you ask for there? The script sounds right at home with the G3 home media releases. Same original voice actors and all. Though it does feel a bit more bombastic thanks to the musical numbers. Everyone feels very in character. Thistle Whistle is flighty and skeptical.
I think so.
Rainbow Dash is proud and pompous.
Do you have anything extra special that will, oh, I don't know, darling, razzle-dazzle me?
And Rarity is still fun-loving and silly.
Here, there, and everywhere, having fun like always.
I believe So-and-So is a newcomer. Didn't have a speaking role until this show, but she was a toy since 2004. On that topic of newcomers, we have these ungodly creatures known to man, the ladybugs. Hold on one second. And who could forget dear old Spike, looking more purple than he is blue today. The Breezy Trio even make a brief cameo. It's a nice batch of characters, and you have some pretty good ponies to represent just how fun and colorful Ponyland is. The costumes themselves are really interesting. The ponies are built for a person to stand within them, feet at the front hooves. The back legs of the ponies are actually moved like a pulley system. While researching, I stumbled upon an interview where an actor, Matt Jones, informs that the pony costumes are like wearing a backpack. The heads are said to be moved by the actors and actresses using their elbows, and they weigh in at about 40 pounds. I'd actually kill to know all the schematics of how these costumes work. They allow for a lot of dynamic movement and pony precision poses. I've heard people say they're uncanny. And they are. But they're also very expressive for a horse costume. Their manes and tails are done in this plasticky streamer type of deal. I could go on about these weird-ass kind of unnerving costumes for hours. It's a super big part of the show's charm for me. I don't know how to segue from this now, but we must talk about promotional material. The first time I could find the world's biggest tea party mentioned on the MLP site was in July of 2006, mentioned here in a news update. It wasn't until later that year, during a site rebrand, that they started advertising the show on the front page. You could find times where the show was on, and more importantly, a link to the official webpage, specifically for the titular jamboree itself. Goddamn, that is one pink website. There's a good chunk of just random little things to cover here. Firstly, I love this one picture of Pinkie they use for all the live show branding. You can see upcoming shows, watch a trailer video, if I remember a link in the description. There's even a page dedicated to the characters. But you know, that's kind of all basic stuff. Some more interesting pages are one informing parents how to explain a live show to their kids, and an audition form. You bet I tried to fill it out for fun. Now for a little mystery. International shows is a page listed at the top as well. Clicking it yields no results from seemingly any time period. However, the G3 wiki states that a French, Spanish, Japanese even show exists. Maybe I didn't look hard enough, but I can't find any articles, let alone videos of any international shows. So, do they exist, or don't they? Maybe the DVD has language settings? If someone who owns the DVD could fact check that for me in the comments, I'd greatly appreciate that. Speaking of the touring of the show, that article I mentioned earlier also states that the show traveled 1 to 2 times each week. The cast and crew would go by their own plane or bus, depending on the distance, and all of the props would be carried in these 3 semi-trailers. Imagine being passed on the road by the Wisteria mobile. Another core aspect of live shows were the little knickknacks you'd buy to remember the experience. Among all the other things that you can find they sold, just look at this cute Pinky and Minty set. No. Some other little things I've come across in my research. This PPAC signed board of all the crew members. The aforementioned Matt Jones is here, he played So by the way, and another performer in particular, and Elisa Newcorn, who played Sweetberry, actually has a page of her own, showcasing all of her accomplishments, and yep, that's some high quality Sweetberry pictures, link in the description for here too. One of the questions that has always perplexed me is, what happened to the costumes after the show was done touring? Were they taken back by V Corp? Do Hasbro have them? Were they stored in a military bunker? Well, believe it or not, the show actually wasn't the final sighting of these things. The Give Kids the World Village is a non-profit resort located in Kissimmee, Florida, with the mission to act as a safe vacation supporting kids with critical illnesses and their families. One of its many themed attractions is Twinkle Hope's Rockin' Spa. Who is Twinkle Hope, you might ask? To summarize briefly, she was a pony released for the 25th anniversary of the franchise, with the purpose of raising money for charity. The spa at the village itself opened in 2009 and contained a Twinkle Hope mascot costume, which is, interestingly enough, the same type of costume they used in the live show. If we look at the earliest known image of the costume, courtesy of Facebook depicted here, with a little comparison work, we can see that Twinkle Hope is actually just a modified Wisteria costume. Note the green eyes and pink hearts. Later revisions of the costume would change this and have Twinkle Hope take on her own identity, supporting blue eyes with stars in them. Later still, the costume seems to have been retired and replaced with a version more resembling the art style of Generation 4. It makes me really happy knowing that Twinkle Hope was able to bring smiles to these children. Very heart-moving. So Generation 3 comes to an end in 2009, and with it, so does the world's biggest Tea Party live show. There were a few Generation 4 shows, but nothing nearly as big as the topic of today's video. These were acted in public parks or malls, and is where that infamous clip of the Twilight costume falling over comes from. A larger G4 live production was planned for 2019, but it was eventually cancelled. If you want to learn more about that, a YouTuber by the name of OkamiGirl64 covered basically the entire situation. I'll leave a link to that video in the description too. I covered a lot of interesting topics and tidbits in this video. It definitely wasn't the most organized one though, but that's just how the G3 live show rabbit hole goes. Researching it brings you down article after blog post, and there's so much more to cover. And that's why even after all this time this video took, it still ended up all messy. So bear with me. 2 very super duper important things. 1, if you went to this video as a kid, or even took your own child to see it, please comment down below any notable things that you remember from it. I'd love to hear your oddly specific pony-centric memories. And 2, I know I've told you to check the description like 4 times already, but I'm going to be putting a lot of oddball things that didn't make it into the video there, as well as sources to media I've used in this video. I'd love to get interest sparked up once again for this long-gone live show, maybe get some closure on if those international shows are real or not. I'm partly Pinky, and I'll see you all when I actually acquire a taste for drinking tea thanks to this live show.